Okay, are you ready for Behind the Wheel?
I am.
Okay.
Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
You are about to listen to the Totally Super Awesome 80s Reboot Overdrive podcast.
This podcast is our fan tribute to the Incredible Hulk TV show. Be advised that has been exposed to radiation and we caution to listen at your own risk. You have now entered GammaCast.
Hello and welcome once again to GammaCast. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me tonight, once again, is the wonderful 80s music girl. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, it's great to have you back. So glad to have you back on the team. Tonight we're discussing Season 3, Episode 7, Behind the Wheel. Originally aired November 9th, 1979. And boy, this was definitely a 70s episode. David, working yes. or we should say late 70s. Almost 80s, man. We're like 2 months away from the 80s. You can feel the 80s just out there. You know, at this point in history, Reagan has already been declared president-elect. He will be soon taking over the Oval Office from the beloved Jimmy Carter. And who would have thought anyone as ridiculous as a movie actor would one day be president?
My goodness, can't be any worse than a corporate executive.
Simpler times. Okay. Tonight's episode, David, working as a cab driver for the struggling Majestic Cab Company, finds himself being harassed by a loan shark's enforcer. Episode was directed by Frank Orsatti, written by Rick Rosenthal. Of course, Bill Bixby, Jack Colvin, and Lou Ferrigno are our main actors, pay or play. Mm-hmm. And of course, who is our very special guest star tonight?
Esther Roll,
Florida Evans herself. I believe.
Yes, good time.
I don't know if Maude had aired yet. You know, let's pull her up. Let's see when Maude started, because I believe that's where
she was earlier. She was like 1972.
Yeah, well, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
Of course, Esther. Let's see. Yeah, 1972 to 1974 was Maude, and then of course, Good Times was 1974 to 1979. So she's just coming off of Good Times, right? And lands this sweet Hulk role.
Yeah.
Yes.
Independent businesswoman.
Independent businesswoman. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. But she kept on working, man. She is, I believe, still working to this. Well, actually, no. Last time we saw her was the year 2000. But I'm sure she's out there. I think she's still alive, isn't she, Esther Roll?
I thought she passed away not too long ago.
Oh, yeah. Nope. She died in 1998, actually. So, okay.
Wow.
So that explains. So she was still working after she passed away. 'Cause that's,
yeah, she was. She just wouldn't stop.
Yeah, that's how good she was, man. Okay. So tonight's episode, we basically have David showing up at Esther's cab company because apparently she had a sign out that said "Drifters Wanted."
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically,
resume not needed. Hello.
Yes. We'll take your word for it. If you have a driver's license, even.
Right.
He comes in, takes the job, and starts on the wonderful world of cabbing. What, of course, Esther doesn't tell him is that she is up to her elbows in debt to a loan shark who wants to take the cab company from her for reasons. Well, actually, I believe that his official stated reason at one point was he wanted to take the cab company to help with the distribution of the drugs, because we see that the drug deal is the real issue at hand here.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And after we see that Esther keeps on having this heart condition every time she gets stressed. Her angina is acting up, and and she seems like a woman not long for this earth in that way. And you're very worried about her, because I was worried about her. I'm sure you were worried about her. David is definitely worried about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him being a doctor and all.
Yeah, he is. And now that so we David agrees to do the driving. He's out. He's getting cabs. He's doing fares. Esther basically says, if I have one guy working for me, the other cabbies will see it's safe to work here and we'll come back. We just got to have somebody out there driving for us. And at that point, of course, the loan shark sees their cabs are back on the road, so we've got to go put a stop to this. First, we do get the big reveal that basically the loan shark, is leaning on Esther, that basically because he does have a legal note, he will, which is not uncommon. There are a lot of loan sharks actually do have paperwork, make you sign things and assets. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's
rough on him, though. I thought, wow. Because it made me kind of wonder where this was being filmed. Mm-hmm. What city he was in, and I'm thinking, is this New York? Because that actually would make sense back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Try to break your legs, run you off the road.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget this is the Hulkiverse, and the first rule of business in the Hulkiverse is, have you tried killing them yet? It is the business equivalent of turning it off and turning it on again. If someone's causing you problems, try murdering them. Usually you murder them once, problem solves itself.
There you go. Well, and then of course your boss won't lose any sleep over it. So.
Exactly. So in this moment, when we get our first Hulk out, because of course basically it's a little, we get our setup here. We get the establishing danger and trouble.
Yes.
And we see David gets his fare, and of course, what's the fare?
A pregnant woman.
Pregnant woman, of course. And man, this was a very interesting scene for me, because I'm sitting there thinking, okay, is David as a doctor going to deliver the baby? I know. And like, what's going to happen? And of course,
this is incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was very Anne of Green Gables, is what I'll say.
Yeah, and it was a very controlled rage sequence.
Yes,
I mean, he was like really pissed, and then I'm gonna muck things up in the garage, but I'm looking for you, guy, under that car, because I'm gonna make you give me.
Well, yeah. So getting to this, and this is what's very cool, because this is what's so very like late 70s about this, is that for those too young to remember, in the 70s, there was an OPEC oil embargo on the U.S. The U.S. could not get foreign oil, and very quickly we started running out of oil.
We did indeed.
Yes, and this actually led to, of course, the big move for fuel-efficient cars and things like that, eventually, ruined the auto industry in a way, because it opened up, for better, more innovative car companies in other countries who had always had to have more fuel-efficient cars to sort of swoop in and seize a lot of the market and, eat up the share of things. But here we see, in this moment, we see that there's this gas line. That's hours of waits. There's a 10-gallon minimum, and they can't sell more than a certain amount of gas. That once
you see the cars that were in line there. It's just like 10 gallons. That's like what, quarter of a tank for them?
Oh yeah, and not for nothing. If you want to know why Jimmy Carter did lose this, people will say everything. To me, the gas rationing was probably the thing that hit people in their pocketbooks the most, and it put them in this frustrated spot where, because there was limited, and that was the thing, is the guy had gas. He could have continued to sell gas, but he had a legal allotment of how much he could sell on a day. He could only sell so much at a time, and and there was all these rules on how you could sell your gas, and it really messed with people's lives. So, David's running out of gas. He can't get into line to get gas, and then before he can even get into line, they close the gas station. He runs to the mechanic, says, please, I've got a pregnant lady. She's going into labor. I need gas to get her to the hospital. And he's basically like, everybody's pregnant. Yesterday a woman gave birth right here with 2 pillows, And this, of course, leads to the guy basically roughing David up, throwing him out, closing the door, and
on his hand.
On his hand, closed it on his hand. And they're definitely, it was one of these moments I was watching this. I was thinking, you always wonder, like, are they going to have a silly thing turn him into the Hulk or a big thing turn him into the Hulk? Here was actually it was a pretty good Hulk. It wasn't that he was stuck in a gas line. It wasn't that he couldn't get gas that made him Hulk out. It's that he really got physically injured. So that's. Yeah. I like it better when it's a real reason for him to Hulk out.
Me too.
So he does Hulk out, tears the gas station apart. He does some great feats of strength, throws stuff through the walls, and of course, just prior to this, the leg breaker again, because he had not yet tried murdering him yet.
No.
He rams the car with the pregnant lady in it, sideswipes him. Yeah. But of course, you got to remember, these old 1970s U.S.-built cars. They could take hits like this, I mean, these things were designed to really ram into each other and knock each other around, because that's how we drove back then. People were crazy.
Absolutely.
It was like live-action bumper cars.
Demolition derby on.
Oh yeah.
On the freeway.
And he doesn't go into the gas station to rough him up, but he's watching him, and then after the Hulk shows up, he tails off. And the Hulk pulls the mechanic out, and he says, "What? You want gas? I'll give you gas. Give you all the gas you want." And you can't get the thing out of the thing, and then all of a sudden you hear, and of course, the woman, abandoned by everyone, just goes and gives birth to her baby all by herself. It's like,
so bored waiting for him to come back. Gave birth to her own kid.
Yeah.
And doesn't even realize, what's going on.
Yeah.
But who would? I mean, you just had a baby.
Yeah. Well, no, it was pretty cool. She's just lying there. She's got a blanket from somewhere. We assume she brought it with her, but it was like, there's a scene in Anne of Green Gables where she sort of gets abandoned by the side of the road and has to give birth to her baby, in a ditch in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, well, hey, but
oh, I missed that one.
Women can do that kind of stuff, man. It's.
I guess. I'm assuming
that's what I hear from movies and TVs. They say women can just, if they got it, they just pull the baby right out and say, "There we go, I got my baby."
Yeah. There you go. Good with my son.
Yes. So, of course, David does go back to tell Esther. Now, I do wonder, it is, I guess David was just really raised to be very polite, because he always goes back to tell people, I have to leave.
Yeah,
he doesn't
have to leave.
Yeah, he doesn't just,
it's
like,
you,
go...
Me.
Yeah. It's like, wouldn't it have been easier for him to just leave? Just not go back?
Now, come on. What are we going to do with all that extra dialogue now?
Yeah, well, this is true. It would have hurt the story, I'm sure.
Considerably.
Yes, but he comes back and he says, "Well, I gotta go," and she, of course, is having her palpitations, and now is this where he realizes the fraudulence of her palpitations?
Because she goes to take the container out of her pocket, and the pills all drop on the floor.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how maybe he recognized the size or something.
Well, because when he looks at it, he's going to see, because of course every pill has a data, has a sort of mark on it, so you know what its milligrams is. But a saccharin pill, wouldn't have that. It's just a little pill. And so he looks at it and he realizes this is saccharin, and...
Yeah, he got suspicious very quickly.
Yeah, well, because he is a doctor. He knows these things. He knows what... he knows that's not nitro. And,
this is true.
And
nitro's a lot smaller.
And so Esther comes clean.
Anybody wants to know, it is.
Yes. And Esther comes clean with him, and, and she says, look, I just need you to hang out with, and... I'm trying to remember why he decides to stay. I guess just
he actually fessed up.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so he because he says, I wish I could help, but I can't. But he does stay anyway. So even though he does make a pretty solid argument for why he can't stay, he does decide to stay and help her out, at least until Jack McGee shows up. But of course. He gets a call. He gets a call from. He gets a call to go pick someone up who specifically requested a Majestic cab. Now, what I found fascinating about that was that I completely thought this was a setup to go get his legs broke.
Me too.
I was expecting, when he pulls up there and says, "There's no one here," she says, "Well, give him a minute, let him show up." And we see that the guy's there. We see the guy is following him, this time in a nice yellow pickup truck. I really was expecting him to be the guy to come out and, then attack. But actually, no, of course, it's Jack McGee.
It's good old Jack Colvin McGee.
Yes. Now, I don't know how he knew to ask for Majestic. Maybe he knew there was a Majestic cab abandoned at the scene.
Oh, the guy called him, remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So he would have mentioned that.
Gas station.
Yeah, he would have mentioned that it was a Majestic cab, and so yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
you know what got me about that scene?
What?
The fact that he didn't recognize him straight away.
Oh yeah. And he doesn't even disguise his voice
put
much.
The glasses and the hat on after he's seen your face.
Well, because he doesn't see his face. He sits in the cab, and you know what? It's just like, how often in our day do we really look at the people that are in the service industry working with us, How often do we know, how often, unless you go to the same restaurant, you might recognize your waitress if you go to the same restaurant a lot, but really, if you're just walking in, do you even recognize your waitress after she walks away from her table, I'm always in that situation like, wait, was that our waitress or was that our waitress? Which one was our waitress?
I'll give him that. He's a busy guy and he works for a newspaper.
Yeah.
So.
And what I actually really liked in this was basically David's strategy to rather than not talk, he decides to talk a lot.
Yeah.
And just start throwing out all these biographical details to sort of throw him off of who he might be. Like, my wife would really love it, if you would put me in your paper and all this kind of stuff. And which I thought was just really brilliant on David's part. And I don't know if he was on some level just having fun with Jack McGee there because he realized Jack McGee didn't recognize him, or if he really really
I think so.
had a strategy there. But yeah, it was very cool. Of course, Jack McGee does not recognize him until they get dropped off at the gas station. And of course, when he drops off Jack, of course, just before that, the guy tries to T-bone the car.
Yeah.
Although why David is parked in the middle of the intersection, I'm not quite sure of either.
Yeah, there was no traffic coming whatsoever. He's got his arm out the signal. He's making a left-hand turn.
Yeah, and
then all of a sudden it's like, you're a sitting duck, dude.
Yeah. And they do try to crash into him. But he does do an amazing maneuver because Jack McGee says, "Hey, look out!" and they get out. Yeah. When Jack McGee is talking to the guy, he says, "Look, would you recognize that cabbie again?" And he says, "Are you pulling my leg? That's who drove you here." And he goes, "What?" And of course, David's pulled out and run away. Oh,
classic.
Yeah. This once again opens up that question: is Jack McGee the world's greatest or the world's worst reporter? Right now, we're definitely back in the just really lucky reporter
realm
of thought here.
Yeah, he's not not very
good at his job. We love you, Jack McGee, but yeah, you're not. Although I'll give it this much. Of course, when he comes back, and he says, "This time I really have to go," and he gives her Jack McGee's coat back. Again, you see, David, he is such an honorable guy.
He is. His coat.
Because he could just take the cab and drive off. Screw
this. Yep, he could have, but
having
all that education, being a doctor, and a very caring and humanitarian person.
He is without a doubt a very caring and humanitarian person, and that should be his downfall. But that is, I guess,
it's his freaking downfall.
but then again, you know what? It's maybe that's why everyone trusts him. Maybe that's why he is like, because he is such an honest and forthright and caring guy for a drifter who won't tell you his real name.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a red flag right there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to bring you in off the streets. I have no idea who you are, but you have a really kind face and you look like you need some help.
Yeah. Well, okay. I was listening to another podcast called the Wait What podcast recently, which is a comic book podcast, and they were discussing, they'd gotten onto the 1970s Incredible Hulk, and it was just this interesting point they make about this type of series and this idea of this and The Fugitive and a few other shows that were out at this time about the affluent white drifter. That basically the affluent white guy, well-educated, has to go on the run. And how, it's they were basically saying this is as close as the average white male can get to the idea of the immigrant experience, the idea of having to go out there, but even then they can't actually endure the real tragedies of it because in their mind it's like, well, yes, I now must be a hobo, but of course because of my hard work, pluck, and intelligence, I'll just naturally get through. So
exactly.
And of course that is what we see with David all the time. Just pluck, hard work,
down
and
money left and right. Oh no, it's okay. Keep your money. I'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, and of course we always have theorized that he has to have some money in an offshore account somewhere.
Yes,
so.
he has to.
He has to. There's
way.
just no other way to make any of this make sense, And Jack McGee, he needs to follow the money. He needs to. He needs to find out what's been going on with Banner's old accounts. That's the key.
And truthfully, we both know if he was really that smart, this would have been over a long time ago.
Yeah, well, sometime around the Hulk breaks Las Vegas, he would have figured it out. But anyway, season 1.
OMG.
Yes. Anyway, so basically, the thug goes and knocks David out because that's the good thing about this Hulk in this universe is that if you hit him fast and hard enough and just knock him out, he won't actually Hulk out on you. So that's
true.
That's your goal is like hit him fast, hit him hard, don't let him Hulk out. And they do. He knocks him out, puts him in the back of the cab or back of his car and drives off. Jack Colvin comes in and says, "Hey, you're one of your guys." And again, too far away from him to see who it was, but sees one of your guys just got attacked. And Esther says, "Are you Jack McGee?" He says, "Yeah, here, I'll tell you where they go." He says, "Don't worry," and she drives off. And then Jack goes and follows her in his car.
Yeah.
And what I thought was great about that is there's a good 5 minutes that each person gets a head start on everyone. But they follow each other real well. So it's like everyone's really good at tracking people in a car here. So.
And there's a crap load of traffic. It's a busy highway. And then they've got to find this quarry road. I know I managed to, there's a lot of things that I brought out, as I make notes about when I watch these. I didn't get a chance to mention the plant abuse that the loan shark is just a ruthless man. He's going to break the stem off the plant and toss it on the floor, you heathen.
Yeah, well, because he doesn't care, man. Because she cares for the plant. I break a plant.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to do to your friend. Anyway, but that's before they even know him. But the taxi car chase was just, to me, very strategic and very regimented. It's almost as if they're all giving each other, okay, we're going to turn down here now. Okay, let's everybody turn now.
Well, I can sort of imagine that maybe Esther knows where that the quarry is where the loan shark does business.
I would think so.
So I can guess, okay, that's how she knew. But then Jack just, happens to just catches up to her. And so maybe Jack is actually a really good reporter sometimes, He just has to be in the zone, It's just he keeps on getting caught off guard. He's just not on 24/7. That's Jack McGee's problem. If he was always, watching for the angles,
Yeah.
But he doesn't expect
He also had a radio.
Yeah.
With taxi chicks.
Well, what what's weird is just the idea that I guess the idea is I had something I was gonna say and now it's kind of flown out of my head. But yeah, so he just it's gone. Okay, it was something really great I was gonna say and then lost it. Anyway, it happens.
It'll come back.
I'm sure. But oh yeah, well so Jack follows them, and so I guess that does speak to his reportering instincts. He can follow someone well, he can figure something out and get to it. Like what it is Jack, he doesn't expect David to pick him up in the car.
Right.
He's not expecting this guy to just sort of come up to him.
No.
No. And it's like. Now you think at this point, because he has crossed his paths a few times, because he did know because he did recognize his voice in Hulk Breaks Las Vegas. He did, of course, he spent the whole time in Mystery Man with him. You'd think he's like, our paths keep on crossing. I really should be more observant of everyone I meet.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, that was probably David's attack in that when he does throw him off is that he is going to confuse him by being aggressive, by being talky at him, and being a guy who really you kind of just want to go away from. The kind of guy that's just too in your face. It's like okay, yeah. So that's good. So of course they decide. So the guy says, "Well, I got the cab driver," and of course the loan shark, who is now trying to be a drug dealer, is like, really, this is not the time for this. This is not what I wanted you to do. Says just go.
I fired you anyway. Why are you back?
He wants to do a good job, boss. But they decide to throw David into the gravel grinder, which gets us a nice classic, TV quicksand scene, where which we all, as a child growing up, thought was going to be much more of a problem. It wound up being. He gets sucked in, and of course. Go is in, David, comes out, the Hulk. Yes. And it was kind of interesting because you just see the Hulk just lying there on the conveyor belt. What
happened to your shirt, man?
Yeah, but I was kind of disappointed in that we don't, because we see basically he comes, he rips the motor, he sees the guy who threw him in the hole. He rips the motor off the thing. But he doesn't throw the motor at the guy. He just throws it into the water.
I'm waiting for that, too. Like, dude, come on now.
So he then, now of course at the same time that the Hulk's having his moment, Esther comes up to the drug dealer's house, comes up to the shack again, and he just like, where's David? Where's David? And the other drug dealer's like, come on, man.
This was a party or something?
Yeah, this was supposed to be a private meeting. Yes, and then
I want to do business with you again.
Yes, so they go to throw her in the thing, but then the Hulk's there, starts throwing people through walls, smashes the place, throws the drugs onto the conveyor belt.
Yep.
Ruining all the drugs. No more drugs, man.
Ruin the drugs. Painting all the gravel.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's going to be some happy roads.
People will be lying in their driveways for the next 6 months, going, "Oh my God." I can't move. This driveway smells so good.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of weird because this is how we resolve it, of course, we get a nice little bit of a comedy scene here after the Hulk has smashed everyone and Jack McGee's coming up to him and he picks up a sledgehammer and he's sneaking up Elmer Fudd style on the Hulk. And then you see, Esther sort of look past him and go, and that makes the Hulk turn around, and there's Jack with the hammer. It's like,
yeah.
That
was a real sledgehammer too.
Oh yeah.
So we both know that wasn't really going to happen. But that kind of makes I'm curious about, everything that happens in these episodes, stunt wise. Is Bill Bixby, doing his own stunts? Is there, a stunt double? Just how hard is a rock that looks supposed to be really heavy supposed to hurt? When it hits you in the head.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a papier-mâché rock, I'm sure. I mean,
I know, but he pulled it off. He made it,
Yeah.
That hit him pretty hard. It was a pretty big rock, so.
Yeah, well, he's.
It helped him.
He is a professional, and remember, he's got that 1970s hair.
This is true.
That's basically, that's why, a lot of people didn't wear helmets in the 70s, because, man, you had that hair, you were okay.
Oh, definitely. All that Aquanet, I'm telling you.
Yes.
People think Aquanet just started in the 80s, but no. That stuff was around in the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
There were beehives everywhere that depended on Aquanet, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Guys needed it too.
So, basically, the Hulk runs off. We do get a super leap from the Hulk, which was great. He actually jumps off, and I mean, it's still a leap down. But we do get what really looks like it's a super leap, and then we see him a few hundred yards away running, and so that was good. I always get excited whenever the Hulk leaps. I was actually really hoping we would actually get a super leap that he would jump up to the guy in the tower, but not on that either. That whole tower sequence logistically just did not work, but it was okay.
Very disappointing.
Yeah, very disappointing. Anyway, so from there we get Esther and Jack back at the cab company. She's saying, I don't know anything about the guy. He just came in off the street. Said, well, don't you even have a driver's license? Says, I just took his word for it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Face value.
You gotta love the 70s, man. No paperwork. No one cared. It was,
Exactly. You got two hands and you can walk. Hey, let's do this.
Yes. So sends Jack off on his way. Tells him to get his coat dry cleaned before the stain sets.
Yeah, it's going to get cold outside. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, and he all rass and frasses his way out. And then, of course, we find out that David was in the back room the whole time.
I know. That's
because, again, David comes back.
Yeah.
And, now, I'm not sure, because, then Esther says, do you have anything to do with that green guy? And it's like, wouldn't have Jack mentioned that, that guy probably turns into the Hulk? That green thing was probably that guy,
Well, yes and no. He's got to be careful who he talks to, I think, because, he can't be plunking out $10,000 willy-nilly.
Well, yeah, but, however, anyway, one thing I didn't get in this was they mentioned that basically because the drugs got lost, the guy, I guess the implication is, he got hung up by piano wire sometime after that.
Well, he lost the mob's drugs, yeah. So he's in trouble.
I get, they don't say that, but it's like he's in deep trouble, ha ha ha, So he's not going to be coming after me. Although, I think, he still has that note. That note's still a legal document. I'm not sure if the problems are quite as solved as you think. But,
but considering his newest venture, Charlie, I would like to assume that the Majestic is kind of a moot point, and he probably lost, millions of dollars in street value cocaine. So, I don't think anybody's going to be caring about the Majestic.
Yeah. Well,
they got bigger fish to fry.
And it helps the story if we operated on that premise. Okay.
Absolutely.
So that was our episode. Any final thoughts on it, 80s Music Girl?
Well, Charlie, I did kind of. Okay, they're at the quarry, and the Hulk is standing there, and he's looking at Colleen, Esther Roll, character, and then this like sappy, mushy music starts playing, and I went, "If you kiss her, so help me." That is not what the Hulk is there to do. Cut the music, just get out of there.
Yeah, wow.
Honestly, I had no idea where that was going. I kind of went, "Oh no. We don't like mushy superheroes. Go, run away, run away." But yeah, I actually thought it was just a little odd to have that. You know, we can see compassion in people's eyes without the music playing. I mean, to me, whenever you hit that tone, that musical tone, that means somebody's gonna smooch it up, and I'm just like, no, that's not that. Not that he shouldn't, I don't want anybody thinking that, but it's just, that's not how it goes. He's a loner. He's a lone wolf. He's a drifter on his own.
Yeah. Although David does give her a kiss goodbye on the cheek. So
he does. Well, and that's out of respect, pretty much, or yes. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Still doesn't want to do one last ride though. It's like.
I know. I like that answer. No. He's like, oh, good sense of humor there, bud.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, overall it was a decent episode. We've got some good Hulk outs,
We did. Guys, some real tough guys this time.
Oh yeah. And I always like when the Hulk fights actual bad guys. Actual yes. Mafiosos and criminals. So that was pretty good there. So yeah, all in all, I think it was a pretty good book. Pretty good episode. 80s Music Girl. Yes. If people wanted to track you down and talk to you and ask you more about music in the 80s or the Incredible Hulk or any of the other many things I'm sure you know about, how can they reach you?
Well, I got this guy, Jack McGee, following me, so no. You can get in touch with him. Anyway, got a big checkbook. I am at 80s Music Girl on Twitter. I'm 80s Music Girl on Instagram, and I have a fan page, 80s Music Girl on Facebook.
Sweet. And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, as you did in the 80s, at Charlie Esser, late 80s anyway, at Charlie Esser, not at Charlie Esser, superconnectivityblog at gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, you can always follow me on Twitter in that new-fashioned way that we do things on the Twitterverse, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle for quality. Thank you for joining us once again, folks. Please Hulk out with us again. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.
Okay. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for filling in last minute. It's very good. It actually works out kind of nice because now we've got you and Maz. We did one episode with you, then one with Maz, then one with you, then one with Maz. So it's working out nice. Cool. We're gonna see how we can keep you in this loop. I'm really like having you. If you enjoy doing this. Okay.
I appreciate it very much.
No problem. I will talk to you soon. Have a great night.
All right. You take care. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.